I'm going to show you two methods for accessing data in the World Bank. The first one is by using DataBank, and you'll find the links to both of these methods posted under the video description. The DataBank screen is useful if you are looking to access some of the World Bank's databases, and you'll see here that in the center from the screen we've got a list of some of the more popular ones. There's the World Development Indicators, Statistical Capacity Indicators, Education, Gender, and Health, Nutrition and Population. Up here you'll see that you can enter some keywords to filter the databases. You can also filter by topic, you can filter by source, and you can also search by country or by indicator if you wish. When you click into, we're going to use this example with World Development Indicators. And if you click into World Development Indicators, it will take you to a data visualization tool. Now we'll cover a couple of these data visualization tools in this module, and you'll find that they all work on sort of a common logic. To display some data, they will first of all need a series. You will need to identify a variable or set of variables for it to display. You'll also need to identify a country or set of countries, and you'll also have to identify a time period. So these data visualization tools are quite good for organizing what's called pool time series data. So that's data at the country level measured at different or successive points in time. So from here you'll see on the left we've got a menu of options, and on the top here we've got a choice of selections. And the screen is asking us at a minimum to select a country, series and time in order to display something. So we can do this in a couple of ways. We can either do it over here in the left hand side variables tab, or we can do it up here using these country, series and time tabs. I'm going to just use the tabs up here for now to add some countries. So you'll see that we have a choice of either scrolling manually through the list of countries here and adding them one by one, or we can add them by region. We can add them by geographical region, or we can add them by income group. So if we just wanted low income countries, we click this and it will just display those countries classified by the World Bank as low income. Or if we just wanted high income countries, we would click here, and this will allow us to select only high income countries. So for illustration, I'm just going to limit it for the moment by geography to Europe and Central Asia. And if we click up here to select all, you'll see that now we have an active selection of 58 countries. The next thing we need is a series. So if we click here to series, the World Bank visualization tool will open up. First of all, what you see here by default in this box is the set of all indicators organized in alphabetical order, so you can select any one or more of these manually if you wish. There is a limit on the number of simultaneous indicators you can select, but the system will let you know if you've selected too many. So you can browse them manually if you like, but that can be quite difficult. So and the reason this is quite difficult to browse manually is because of the first letter by which they're organized doesn't always correspond intuitively to what the variable is actually measuring. So if we go over here to this nested diagram, you'll see here that we can actually sort these by different sub-themes, by environment, economy, education and so on. And down here you'll see we've got a set of indicators on gender, and the gender indicators are grouped by health, participation and access, public life and decision making. If I want to see all the gender indicators, I can just click the gender box here. If I just want to see the ones on health, I can click health. If I just want to see the ones on participation and access and so on, I can just click through these individually. So if we activate all the gender indicators, we're going to pick a couple of these here. So there's a couple of these that are measures of kind of national level proportions. So the percentage of time spent on unpaid domestic unpaid domestic and care work, and that's females percentage of a day, but also other indicators like the percentage of women in national legislatures or national parliaments. There are some other, and one of the things you got to watch out for with these is that some questions are more available. They've got wider coverage across countries, and some don't. So out of these indicators, we'll just select the proportion of time spent on unpaid domestic and care work. We'll also look at seats held by women in legislatures. If I want to add in some additional indicators, I might want to go up here, say, to education, look at some educational outcomes. And you can see here that there are also other indicators here as well, like educational attainment, percentage of females completing post-secondary education, age 25 plus. We also have information on things like literacy rates. So we could look at the youth literacy rate. We could also look at things like educational attainment, the percentage of women that have completed primary education or master's or doctoral level education. We can click that one, and we can also look at other indicators like agency of choice and so on if we wanted. For the moment, we'll just go with these ones. And then finally, what we want to do is we want to add at a time. So we can look at just the last 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, 50, and so on. We can select every year in the period, but for illustration, I'm just going to select the last 15. And once you've got all this done, then you can click out of this, click Apply Changes, and the visualization tool will get to work and display that data for you here in the table. Now, the way that it displays the data by default is not often entirely helpful, because as you'll see here, what it's done is it's got in the rows, it's got the variable name. In the columns, it's got the year, and it's got this pull down menu here to select by country. So if we wanted to look at, let's say, Ireland, we would have to click down through the menu to get to Ireland. If we wanted to look at the United Kingdom, we would have to click down to get to the United Kingdom, and so on. And you see here again that you've got to be careful with some of these because the coverage isn't necessarily all that great. So we see here, if we look at the percentage of seats held by women in national parliaments, in Ireland in 2012 it was 15.1, increasing to 22.5 by 2020. If we wanted to compare that to other countries or other economies, we might select Denmark, and we see here that there's quite a difference, so it's about 39.7%. So the layout of this might not be entirely intuitive if what we want to do is make cross-country comparisons. So what we can do here is go up to Layout, and we can change the order of some of these. So instead of having the country as the page, we can set the country as the row variable, and we can mandate that the series is set as the page variable. Once we apply this, the table will now display countries over here on the left-hand side by time on the column headers. And we can change the variable then by pulling down this menu here. So if we look at the variable that measures the proportion of unpaid domestic and care work, we can move down quickly through here and start to compare countries. And again, the reason that the coverage on these is somewhat patchy is because a lot of times indicators like this are compiled from national surveys. Not all countries gather this type of information, and not all countries will administer the same survey in successive or adjacent years. So that's why the coverage is quite patchy. But a variable like legislative seats generally has more coverage, so you get more data points by year by country. So when you organize it like this, you can quite quickly start to make comparisons across different countries and see which ones have the higher representation, the lower representation, and so on. Or you can look at educational attainment. The second way to do this is to use the data.worldbank.org link, which will take you to a search field, and you'll also notice that the data bank and the microdata and data catalog links are up here as well. And you can scroll down here and see some updates to key indicators, links to additional resources, and so on. And what you might want to do here is you might want to either browse by country or browse by indicator. If we click by country, what you can do here, and again you can sort these by region, by geography, or by income level, is you can scroll down to the country of interest and you can quickly get a look at a country profile. So it'll take you to some key figures, some key statistics. So we've got, for Ireland, we've got GDP, population, emissions, life expectancy, and so on. So some of these are considered kind of headline national level indicators. They're ones that are commonly used in comparative sociology to compare countries on different measures and so on. You'll also notice over here on the right that there are two links. You can click into country profile, which will take you to another window. And if we just click back here for a moment, you can also link it into Data Bank, the data visualization tool. What this will do then is, first of all, the first link, the country profile link, will take you to this page where it has the key indicators set out at roughly 10-year intervals. And you've got key indicators here on worldview, people, environment, economy, states, and global links, and so on. The second one then brings you back to the initial data visualization tool that we looked at. So it's the key indicators arranged by time. This is just for Ireland at the moment. So you'll see here it gives you a set of figures like births attended by health staff, mortality, school completion rates, a couple of indicators of national infrastructure, educational outcomes, economic development, migration rates, and so on. Now, the other thing you might want to do is you might want to type in manually here into the search box a topic. So let's say you had a project that was on women and care. You can type in those keywords and it will give you a list of key indicators. So we see here that if we click on this one, we're going to get an overview of the percentage of pregnant women receiving prenatal care. Again, this is all at country level. We can also look at the participation rate of women aged 15 to 49 in key decisions on healthcare, household purchases, and visiting family. So again, the concept of agency is used quite a lot in international research to look at differences across countries in gender equality. If we click into the first one, then you'll see what it takes us to is a data visualization tool. Again, it's empty for the moment because we haven't selected any fields. And you can quickly go down through here and look through the countries and see for the most recent data year. So most recent year means that in 2015 is the most recent year this data is available for Afghanistan, and the score is 59. So for this year, 59% of pregnant women received prenatal care in Afghanistan, 82% in Angola, 98% in Australia, and so on. And it will also give you over here related indicators as well. So this is mortality rates attributable to air pollution, births attended by skilled health staff, and so on, FGM prevalence percentage. Finally, if you want to export any of these data, there are a couple of links up here on the top that are worth keeping in mind. First of all, for any of these tables in the data visualization tool, you can download the underlying data by going up here to download options, clicking Excel, and that will download to a spreadsheet that you can then open. And you can either load the data into another analysis program, or you can simply work with it within Excel. So you'll see here the way it organizes it by default is with the countries, the country names here, the country code here, and then each year along the top, and the score here in the cells. You can also ask it to produce a chart. If you click on chart, what it will then do is translate the data in this table into a chart that you can download if you wish. It's generally a line chart, a time series type chart. You probably want to select less countries, less indicators, less time points to make it legible. And again, over here, you can go to export chart image and download it as either PNG, portable network graphic, or JPEG. Generally, probably PNG and JPEG are the most widely recognizable. And if you're including them in a Word document in your dissertation, this is the one that you want to use. You can also ask it to generate a map if you want, and you can also access the metadata underlying that, where it will outline exactly what the different indicators are. If we go back to table, you'll see here that you can do this within the table as well. And of course, it's important to pay attention to the source of the data, how the data were collected, what the sample coverage was if it's derived from a social survey. So for any one of these indicators, you can click on the exclamation mark, and it will show you the source of the data as well.